afternoon and welcome to Empowering Green Solutions Towards Climate Safe Future. I am Prachi, Climate Specialist and Manager Climate Action Platform, and I'm delighted to have you join us today. For those of you who do not know about ABPN, we are a network of funders and resource providers with over 600 members across 32 markets. Our mandate is to move more capital towards impact in Asia by providing social investors like yourselves opportunity to connect, learn, and lead. We're also sharing highlights of our day today on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. So don't forget to share your experience with us by using the hashtag ABPN2020. ABPN's Climate Action Platform was launched last year at the ABPN's conference, and over 200 of our members are focusing on climate-related topics. The overall vision of Climate Action Platform is to unlock capital in a more targeted and effective manner into climate solutions. The platform engages with climate leaders and potential investors to find new and impactful ways to move this capital. We also share best practices, experiences, insights, and solutions through our websites, webinar, roundtable, and events on climate. Today's session is one such example. With the support of our partner Brace, we are able to develop another very important pillar of Climate Action Platform, which is the Climate Deals component. The DealShare platform collaborates with ABPN members to curate and display transformational solutions to the climate challenge, with the overall aim to engage local actors and businesses to address capital and capacity gaps to mitigate and adapt to climate change. As a disclaimer, ABPN is an industry platform to connect and share best practices, experiences, and knowledge within the network for the development of an impact social investment community. As part of ABPN members sharing their work and experience in mobilizing capital for impact, this session will include information about ABPN's members, investee organizations, funds, and products. Certain information included in this session may be for accredited investors only, on the expectation that delegates joining this session should be accredited investors only. Information shared by the speakers in this session is provided by third parties and does not represent the views of ABPN on any matter. ABPN does not warrant the accuracy, completeness, or usefulness of this information and is not liable nor responsible for reliance anyone may place on such information. Delegates should consume this information at their own risk. ABPN reserves the right to edit, cut down, and adapt to the content and materials to align with the stated agenda or purpose of the session. Any information or materials provided are only for information and knowledge sharing and does not in any way constitute tax, legal, financial, or investment advice, nor do we constitute offers, solicitations, or recommendations for any investment activity. In today's session, we will hear from 5 distinguished social entrepreneurs speak on their climate mitigation solutions. The session will conclude with an opportunity for a Q&A with all 5 entrepreneurs. I will be your MC. My role is to ensure that your experience in the next hour is meaningful. But before we kick off the session, I'd like to start with a few housekeeping announcements. Please make sure that you're using the app version of the Adobe Connect and not the browser version to have the best user experience. If you have not downloaded the Adobe Connect app, please look through the link sharing box on the bottom left. There will be full instructions on how to download the Adobe Connect app for the different devices. To ensure that you are able to listen well and the audio is set up correctly, make sure that you run the audio setup wizard. You can do this by clicking Meeting at the top left-hand corner and find the audio setup wizard button. If at any point you get disconnected or have a bad internet connection, try logging out of the app and then logging back in. Hopefully, this will help the situation. During the presentation, please use the Q&A box. Please note that your questions will only be visible to the ABPN team. Rest assured, we will be monitoring this behind the scenes and we will address as many questions as possible in the Q&A. If you have any further questions, please contact our DealShare team at dealshare@abpn.asia. Finally, we will launch a poll after every presentation. Please do participate. To have a sense of who is in the room, we would like to launch our first poll. Please do take the time to answer the poll questions. So our first question is, in what capacity are you here today? What level would you rate your awareness of market opportunities? And what kind of support are you in position to give here? We can see that there are a lot of foundation and trusts and impact funds as well, which is great. We also have a few people participating who know a few examples of the solutions available in the market, but they are fairly new to this area, which is what we have seen in the climate space, that people want to know more, which I think is an excellent group of people here. We have now closed the poll, and you can see that there are a lot of people here who would like to know more about you. They would like to know and provide non-financial support to their networks and technical assistance as well, which I think is a great pool to have. 30% also would like to kind of support financially, or at least they would like to know more about your organization, which I think is a good opportunity for our entrepreneurs here. I think we can start with the deal share session now. AVPN's deal share sessions are curated experiences to help deepen our understanding and support of the social purpose organizations by facilitating strategic conversations and capital deployment. Our first social entrepreneur is Brian Takeda. Brian, the floor is all yours. Brian is a CEO and founder of Urchanomics, an organization that makes kelp forest and ecosystem restoration a financially self-sustaining activity. Brian?
Hello, Brian Tsuyoshi Takeda from Urchanomics. Kelp forests, the foundation of our entire marine ecosystems, the nurseries of our fisheries, are collapsing around the world. Overfishing, climate change, pollution, or in other words, our behavior has allowed the humble sea urchin to explode in population, overgrazing entire kelp forests and turning them into lifeless, desert-like barrens. Now, for us Asians, having lots of urchins would sound like a really good idea because they're luxurious and premium, very yummy. But the problem with urchins that are in urchin barrens is that they've eaten up all of the kelp, and they've collapsed it, and they are now starving. And so these urchins become empty and have no commercial value. So fishers will not catch them, and predatory species will not eat them either. So these empty urchins will prevent kelp forests from growing for decades, if not even centuries, if we do not intervene. So what we do at Urchanomics is we specifically target those ecologically destructive urchins, and we rehome them in our proprietary aquaculture systems, and we provide them a natural formulated feed that converts them from an ecological pest to one of the world's most premium seafood products, or uni, in a matter of 6 to 12 weeks. Now, when we remove these urchins from the ocean floor, we allow the kelp forest to recover. And the kelp, which then becomes a three-dimensional habitat again, brings the fish and the wider marine biodiversity back to coastal ecosystems. Now, the beauty of kelp is that kelp also binds and sequesters carbon, absorbs nutrient runoff like nitrogen and phosphorus, and also protects us from wave-related erosion as well as ocean acidification. To give you an idea how this works, this is some imagery from Southern California, just outside of Los Angeles, where climate change, pollution, and overfishing the trifecta has hit the area. Literally nothing is there on the ocean floor, just urchins, and nothing can grow. However, if you remove these sea urchins, within just 14 days, the kelp spores that are floating around in the water column will settle on the rocks and begin to grow. And this is where the magic happens. Within 111 days, or approximately 3.5 months, those kelp spores will become giant kelp and grow all the way to the surface of the water, again, recreating that three-dimensional habitat and bringing the marine diversity back to the coastal ecosystems. Now, why are we so focused on kelp forests? Well, it comes down to the ecosystem services, or the benefits that we as society enjoy through having such an ecosystem in the first place. And 1 hectare of kelp forest provides 9.5 times ecosystem services as a tropical forest, and up to 64 times that of a boreal forest. That is why kelp forests are such a critical piece for our society. So our business model hinges entirely on the idea of restoring such kelp forests. We specifically target the ecologically destructive urchins. We ranch them in our proprietary aquaculture systems, and we sell them as a premium seafood product. And this is the key point here. We then take a percentage of our revenues, not our profits, but a percentage of our revenues, and we donate it back to the diving and the urchin removal and the kelp restoration effort to complete that circular loop. While all this is happening, the kelp forests will be recovering. So we are deploying this business model primarily in the 4 countries that we recognize have the greatest urchin barren problems. So that is Japan, Canada, the United States, and Norway. And we are looking to expand further as we understand where the barrens are. In terms of Japan, we have successfully run our pilots, and we are now scaling up to commercial scale. We have also taken the 2 most popular urchin species that are causing the most ecological destruction in Japan and have successfully converted them into commercially viable product. And we have also validated the quality of the product by selling these urchins at premium prices at the top retailers and sushi restaurants in Tokyo. In the rest of the world, we have secured our site in Stavanger, Norway. We've also secured a property in California, and we also have 3 commercial sites we are developing in Eastern Canada. To match our global initiative, we also have a global team. My team is based in Norway, the Netherlands, Canada, US, and Japan. Our partnerships are also global, and we collaborate with scientific entities, nonprofits, government. We essentially take a consortium approach to try to tackle this problem, we being part of the solution. And of course, the global media coverage has been very friendly to us and has been very helpful to be able to establish these wider consortia around the world so that we can collaboratively tackle the problem and find a collaborative solution. So to close my presentation and introduction, I wanted to talk a little bit about an observation that I've had about ecological restoration and profitability. We found that any initiative in environmental restoration has been a tremendously expensive affair that when trying to do together, typically the profitability suffers. Or if one pursues profitability, it's usually at the expense of the environment or people. But we would like to propose an alternative relationship between this, until today, probably a very common zero-sum or mutually exclusive relationship. We want to show that as an alternative, we should be able to have business models where the more we profit, the better the environment becomes. And we believe that urchinomics has the potential to do this, because when we remove these urchins and we commercialize them, the kelp forest will recover. And so the more we profit, the better the environment becomes. So I hope that this presentation gave you an idea of who we are and what we do and how and our philosophy. And so we're really looking forward to the next days at the AVPN conference and looking to get to know you all and see how we can explore this opportunity together further. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. It was a great presentation. We've personally been very interested in this, or curious, I would say, about urchinomics. And today, I think your presentation made it very clear to all of us. For this, we're not publishing the poll results, but we would like for everybody to put in their poll answers. We would be using these poll results to make any relevant connections if you'd like. If you would like to be connected directly with urchinomics after the session, please say yes. If you say, yes, I would like to offer financial support, and yes, I would like to offer non-financial support, or yes, I would like more information, or no, I would not like to answer, or I would not like to be connected in this occasion, please note that this poll and similar ones after, if your answer is yes, under any capacity, your email address and name will be shared with the speaker after the session. We can say that yes, there are a lot of people who would like to know more about Archanomics, which is great, and they would also like to offer non-financial support like mentoring, networking, pro bono assistance, facilities, etc. So which is, I think, a good start. The poll has now been closed. Our second speaker of the day is Josie Stroker, co-founder of Capture, a tool to help companies track and reduce CO2 emissions from corporate mobility. Josie, the presentation.
Hello, hi. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So I'm Josie, CEO and co-founder of Capture. So here at Capture, our vision is to make planet-friendly living possible for everyone. And we really got started looking at the challenge where a lot of people care deeply about climate change, but it can be very difficult to know what impact one person can have, or really just how to get started. In terms of what we do, so we work mainly with organizations and we put sustainability in the pockets of employees through the Capture app. So we help to engage the workforce in data-driven, but also gamified and fun actions that help to improve the business of our clients, but also to protect our planet. Now, we use a specific strategy called product-led growth, and that means that we find organizations and customers through use of our consumer app, which is free to download around the world. So we sit in a very exciting market. I'm sure these sorts of slides will be familiar to you all. We sit within the green tech and sustainability market, which is seeing absolutely fantastic growth right now. And so in terms of the problem that we're solving for organizations, it really comes down to two things. So first of all, when it comes to collecting data, it can be very time consuming for sustainability professionals to collect data around sustainability across their organization. Often they'll be using things such as Excel spreadsheets, and it can take up to 50% of their time before it even comes to the analysis and recommended actions. So you've got that on one side, whilst on the other side, often we see that employees are unaware or cynical of the sustainability initiatives that their organizations have. So even if the company has spent a lot of time putting out that sustainability report once a year, perhaps it's not being so widely read by employees. So right now, if you wanted to download an app to help you look at your carbon emissions, you'd be able to do so. There are a couple of apps there that provide sort of different solutions. You could also go online and complete a one-time survey. But here with Capture, what makes our app different is that we have algorithms that look at your movements and are able to predict your mode of transport. So when it comes to the Capture app available for individuals, we help you to track, reduce and remove CO2 emissions from your everyday life. So we started with mobility as a category. We've also just added food emission tracking as well. So that's our app for individuals. And then when it comes to sort of working with companies in the way that we've positioned ourselves, obviously right now, as I mentioned, if you're a head of sustainability for an organization, there are solutions that you could use alongside your Excel spreadsheets to help you to gather sustainability data across the organization. But as I say, where the gap lies is engaging employees. So what we do here at Capture is we focus on putting sustainability in the pockets of employees through the Capture app. Now, as I mentioned, we use a strategy called product-led growth, and that means that our Capture app, which is available to the public, if it goes well and if it's well received, should lead to inbound inquiries from organizations. Now, even though we just launched the app in January, we've already had inbound inquiries. We get 1 to 2 per week from customers saying they've used the app and they're interested in trying it with their employees. So this is a similar strategy that organizations such as Slack, Dropbox, Calendly, and now Headspace are also using to reach more organizations as clients. And so in terms of our corporate solutions, so what is it exactly that we offer for companies. So within the Capture app, what we'll see is a specific area for teams. Now, if a company wants to join Capture, what we'll do is help them to set up a secure space within the app whereby their employees can log in. We'll have a company page. We'll be able to help employees see the collective impact that they're having across the organization. And what we found is that this is particularly helpful when people are working from home, and it can be, I'm sure a lot of us feel that way, what difference can one person make? So it's really helpful if you have an organization of, let's say, 100 or 1,000 people that are all working from home. Through the Capture app, they'll be able to, enjoy tracking their collective impact together. So we've got the secure in-app area that's available for employees. And then on the organization side, we have a web-based dashboard that provides live tracking of things such as total CO2 emissions, along with the positive outcomes for different sustainability commitments that we have within the app as well. In terms of pricing and sort of how we make our money as a business, so we charge based on a subscription model, a per employee per month fee. So in terms of the positive impact that Capture can have on the environment, so one thing that you'll be able to see there within the image, when you join the app, we'll help you to calculate your baseline emissions, and then what we'll do is we'll minus 7.6%. Now, the reason we minus 7.6% is if everyone in the world were to decrease emissions by 7.6% year on year between now and 2030, we'd be in with a shot of meeting the 1.5 degree Paris warming target. So what we do is we make that 7.6% personal and actionable for you as an individual. So that's sort of what we do in terms of our users. And then if we were to have 10,000 users on the Capture app, we'd be looking at being able to reduce emissions by about 8,000 tonnes. That would be per year from those users if they were to be able to stick within those guidelines. So obviously, we're a fast-growing startup. We're ambitious with what we want to grow and sort of what we want to achieve. We have our angel round close early this year, and we'll be looking to close our seed round next year. So I've got more details on that shortly. And as I mentioned, in terms of traction, so we launched just as early January. We've had requests from over 15 organisations. We've had 4,500 organic downloads of the app. We also have individuals in the app who are subscribing to offset their carbon emissions. We have a really diverse team. We're based in Singapore, so our entity is based there. And I'll just skip on to the last slide here, which is our contact details. So if you know any organisations that might be interested to trial Capture for Teams, or if you'd like to find out a bit more, please feel free to get in touch. Thank you.
The floor is open. Thank you, Josie, for an engaging presentation. Like the previous poll, we shall not publish the results of this one, but please, we will use this to make the relevant connections for you afterwards. So do let us know if you would like to get connected to Josie. Please also keep the questions coming in for the speakers in the Q&A pod. As a reminder, you will not see the questions from other participants here, but we are collating them behind the scenes. So if you could just type in your questions for the end of the session. Thank you. Great, that's fantastic. So 70% of our audience, they want to get connected with Josie. They would like to know more about you, which is fantastic about Capture. Our next speaker is Brian Denning. He's a co-founder of Syngenera, which promotes the conservation of standing forests and cultivation of sustainable biomass through the acquisition and management of forest concessions in Southeast Asia. Brad, the floor is all yours. Brad, can you please unmute yourself?
Are you able to hear now?
Yes.
So, yes, Syngenera is a company focused on integrating the private sector into natural capital solutions for a low carbon and circular economy. The issues that we focus on and address are really the need for rapid decarbonization at scale. Because we've delayed in meeting the Paris Agreement, it is essential that we have carbon negative solutions in the decades forthcoming. In addition to rapid and urgent decarbonization is consumption. So if we look at the resource consumption globally, we're at 1.7x of the Earth's carrying capacity, and that is expected to go to 3 to 400 or 3 to 4x. In addition, resource extraction causes about 90% of biodiversity loss and water scarcity and water stress, as well as greater than 50% of climate change impacts. So that speaks to the need to promote a circular economy. And then lastly is the need for sustainable development. These three issues really speak to the need for climate action, circular economy, and more sustainable development. That leads us to natural capital. So the solutions that we promote, they really address, looking at the first two there is decarbonization. So roughly 5 gigatons of carbon are available per year, which represents about a third of greenhouse gas emission reductions needed to stay in line with the Paris Agreement. In order to do that, we will need about 350 million hectares reforested. As well, there's a scenario in the IPCC report where we would need up to 700 million hectares of land that would be required for bioenergy crops for BECCS as a carbon negative solution. As well, those biomass plantations and products can support the circular economy in terms of power, fuel, and biochemicals. And then lastly, there's a need for about
I think we have some internet issues for Brad. Okay. Brad, hello? I guess what we can do is that we can move to the poll or perhaps in the next speaker, and then we can come back to Brad. So our fourth speaker here is James Diddams, co-founder of DWR Offshore, a renewable energy
investment.
So I think we have him.
Biomass difficult. Then also there's policy risk. So how can you create?
Sorry, Brad, we had lost you. So could you please just go back to the previous slide and present that slide again?
This slide right here, scaling solutions.
Okay, sure. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so the key issues that are preventing these solutions, which are incredibly important, are kind of 4 key reasons that we see. One is the opportunity cost, and that carbon prices are too low to make a meaningful difference. The second is the varied skill sets required in terms of integrating and focusing on the local communities, to biomass processing and infrastructure, to greenhouse gas accounting expertise. A third is unproven carbon markets. So in addition to low prices, you also have uncertainty around policy risk. And then lastly is missing valuation. So natural capital assets produce a number of other benefits, human and social capital benefits, that are not monetized or valued by investors in the private sector. So our approach to addressing this pretty complicated situation is to really put the puzzle together. And we do so through finance. So our network, after years of private equity experience in consulting, is to work with philanthropic capital, technical assistance facilities, private sector, and DFI. And then within partners, again, we have an extensive group of private sector companies, but then also partners that help on operationalizing local community and non-timber forest enterprise expertise. When it comes to impact valuation, this is something that we've focused on for several years in terms of quantifying those additional human and social capital impacts. And then lastly, under innovation, we work with a firm that uses AI for satellites and remote sensing, as well as blockchain development that really enhances financial inclusion for local communities. The actual business model here is again, we're focused on doing due diligence on concessions to build a pipeline of projects that provide, if you will, feedstocks for a low carbon and circular economy. And those feedstocks are carbon offsets from forestry projects and biomass that promotes the circular economy as well as decarbonization, especially when it comes to power applications and biofuels, as well as integrating local community through non-timber forest enterprises. How we get to, the key thing for Syngenera is that we are focused on growing to 1 million hectares under management by 2025. So we're looking at creating a model, a way to integrate these different actors to come up with a viable way to prove that natural capital investments are economic. So we do that through working with impact investors in the private sector, as well as DFI for project finance and debt. And then we use our model to work with actual developers on the ground and provide them access to the private sector impact valuation tools and create additional markets for them. The actual team that we have on the ground, so Aidan Stretch, 25 years of private equity, myself, over 20 years of climate change and sustainability strategy for the private sector, Megan Driscoll, 15 years of international development, and Paul Watkinson, over 10 years of impact evaluation as a specialist, a number of advisors, and then strategic partners. This is really the way that we're able to get these projects to get off the ground. One is A.W. Lloyd, 20 years as a corporate finance strategy consultant. Marie as a forestry and biomass specialist. Adatos as an artificial intelligence and remote sensing firm. Hinterland as well on biomass. And then Health and Harmony supports us on local community conservation and reforestation. Lastly, we have 2 agreements with multinational companies to invest in this model, as well as an agreement with a large DFI for project finance. Time is up, so just wanted to thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for the presentation. This was really useful for all of us. Like the previous poll, we shall not be publishing the results, but we will make the relevant connections for you afterwards. Again, there are people who would like to get more information about Syngenera. 70% of our audience is saying that they would like more information. Now it's 75. That's great. So it says about 77% of our audience would like to connect with Syngenera. So our next, the 4th speaker is James Diddams, co-founder of DWR Offshore, a renewable energy technology developer specializing in offshore wave, wind, solar, and OTEC and in-stream tidal energy provisions. The floor is all yours, James.
Thank you, Prachi, and thank you to APPN to give me the opportunity to showcase a project in today's session. Good afternoon, morning. My name is James Diddams, co-founder of DWR Offshore. Today I would like to introduce the floating in-stream tidal and solar power plant, known as FITS, which is an energy catalyst round 7 pilot project funded by Innovate UK and private investors. This project will be installed and tested in Myanmar. It is a truly exciting project, and I'm very happy to give you an insight today to highlight not only the climate impact we will make, but also how we aim to provide energy access to all. DWR was awarded a UK Energy Catalyst Round 7 grant for just over £1 million, and we're at an early stage of the project, starting in April just gone. But this has been a passion and a long time in planning to get to this stage, and we're really excited to continue this journey. Our objective is to provide clean, secure, affordable, renewable energy for off-grid communities in Myanmar. Our project will cover at least 4 sustainable development goals: affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, clean water and sanitation, and climate action. So why Myanmar? Approximately 35 million people in Myanmar do not have access to electricity, and for those who do, often rely upon diesel, wood or kerosene as a principal source of energy generation. As we know, using diesel has many impacts, limitations and risks, including supply, cost, health and carbon emissions. So how do we solve this? Well, our solution is the FITS power plant, which will guarantee clean, renewable baseload energy 24 hours, 7 days a week. We will solve the issue of energy access, mitigate volatile fossil fuel pricing, and tackle carbon emissions. Our ethos is deliver clean, secure baseload energy to remote off-grid users. Our concept is based on the 5 pillars shown below. Produce renewable energy through run-of-the-river, tidal flow and solar. Produce baseload energy, run-of-the-river and tides are predictable 24/7, 365 days of the year. Produce a scalable solution. A system is designed to be a standalone 200 kilowatt plant, or can be downscaled to a 50 kilowatt plant, or even upscaled to a 500 kilowatt plant, and can be implemented into an array configuration, which means multiple units, more power, and reduction in GHG emissions. It must be flexible, a solution that can be deployed in any geographical area. Robust, must be able to operate in harsh environments, whether this is a tropical, salty, hot or cold environment. So introducing the FITS power plant, it brings together 2 natural abundant sources found in Myanmar: in-stream tidal river flow and solar radiance. The system is designed to be robust and easily maintained and produce power 24/7. The base case of the FITS power plant project is to produce 200 kilowatt hours of clean energy. The majority of the power generated from the run-of-the-river turbines. Power generated from the solar would be used for onboard systems and excess exported to the end user. The technology has been designed as either as a main source of power for off-grid communities, or support to the existing mini-grid, or decentralized systems to replace diesel fossil fuels, or play a mix in the overall energy system. Future variants can be easily adapted to generate fresh water production and waste sanitation services. The technology is simple and robust, as I mentioned. The power plant is designed on a trimaran or a banker-style boat, which is found in South Asia and easily constructed in local boatyards. We incorporate 2 100 kilowatt vertical axis turbines, which allow all mechanical components to be above waterline, providing the advantage of ease to access and less risk of mechanical failure. Approximate overall plant size is 20 meters in length, 18 meters in breadth, and 3 meters in depth. Service life is 25 years without dry docking, with planned maintenance every 3 to 5 years. We're currently in the process of IP protection, i.e. patent filing. Typical energy yield calculated shows energy for various flow speeds, but keeping the turbine parameters constant. If we look at the 3 meters per second column, we estimate this to achieve approximately 1,500 megawatt hours a year, which can be exported to an off-grid community. I've projected a levelized cost of energy, or LCOE, for the pilot project is less than 9 cents per kilowatt hour. We're forecasting future projects sub 6 cents per kilowatt hour. So why the FITs? Why the FITs rather than other technology, such as solar farms, wind, wave, diesel, etc.? Well, we integrate reliable and robust off-the-shelf technology, trial and tested, consistent baseload energy, no reliance on the weather, can be deployed where the sun doesn't always shine, can be installed where we want to keep off rainforests, not held to volatile diesel prices, easy to transport, and can be manufactured worldwide. Impact. An important metric of a project and business is how much impact will bring to Myanmar. One FIT will produce clean, secure energy to at least 1,000 houses and local businesses. We estimate 415 metric tons of CO2 equivalent savings per year, which equates to 8,309 metric tons of CO2 equivalent per lifetime per FIT power plant. Pilot project objectives. EPC a 200 kilowatt FIT power plant. Outcomes. Secure energy access at an affordable cost. Provide social and equality impact. Milestones and strategies. This slide shows the overall roadmap of the project. Key highlights taken from this are: grant application submitted September 2009. We were awarded the grant in December 2019, and since then we've been raising private equity to match fund the grant. We successfully raised £220,000 so far, and now we're looking to raise another £150,000. A large part of the project is site and community selection. This is ongoing work, but we hopefully will have a site and community selected by the end of this year. We tend to deliver the power plant in May next year and start testing and exporting renewable energy to community from May to September and thereafter. We're committed to developing further projects in Myanmar and surrounding regions, and our growth plan to develop at least 5 mini-grids projects in 2022. I'm a bit running out of time here, but key points from the market is that we are targeting off-grid communities, eco-luxury resorts, and fishing production, rice mills. We tend to target at least 10% of the 2,500 viable mini-grids in the near future, which equates to 2 million tons of CO2 equivalent GHG emissions avoided in the lifetime of one of the FITs. Globally, there's excess of 120 gigawatts of installed capacity potential of run-of-the-river. Business model. We intend to use 2 business models: a build and operate and sale technology model. DWR is in the process of setting up an office in Myanmar as we speak, so we are fully committed to making an impact in Myanmar and ASEAN countries. Of course, to deliver such a project, we can't do it on our own. The pilot project team is made up of consortium of partners, which will bring all specialist services skill sets in order to deliver a project. DWR is the lead and owner. Spectrum SDKN, led by David Allen and his team, are responsible for our work with social inclusion and gender equality, site selection and community engagement. They are pivotal to locking our acceptance of our technology into the off-grid community, which is something DWR is passionate about. There are various other partners which I'd like to mention, but I've run out of time, so please feel free to connect afterwards or drop me an email. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, James. We have another poll. You know what to do. Also, I'd like for our audience to send in their questions now. We have one more presentation, after which we will be doing the Q&A. So yes, please do send us your questions. I think this is a great, we've closed the polls now. Again, we have 70% people saying that they would like more information, and we will be making the connections after this. So our final speaker is Dharma, Executive Director of Climate Advocacy International, a non-profit organization that works to implement innovative green solutions to achieve economic, social, and most importantly, environmental sustainability. Dharma, the floor is all yours.
Hello everyone, good afternoon from Climate Advocacy International, Kathmandu, Nepal. So Climate Advocacy International is a not-for-profit making organization, and it is located in Kathmandu, Nepal. So we are working in various areas of sustainable development, especially the Sustainable Development Goal number 7 and Goal number 13. And we are working with the local communities, government, and the developmental agencies here in Nepal to provide the clean energy solution. And in this presentation, although we are working in various areas of low carbon green growth technology, but here I will cover one of the projects that we are working, and this is of the clean cooking solution. So for this project, we are partnering with the Ganesha Cookie Stove project, which is a company located in United States. So this has developed a highly efficient cookie stove that fits with the Nepali kitchen. And for more information about the Ganesha Cookie Stove, you can log on in their webpage. And while designing this project, we did the survey in different rural areas. What is the problem they are facing while cooking? And we found that almost more than 0.5% of the households are using the very traditional cookie stove, and that generates huge amount of the greenhouse gas emission, and this also causes the indoor air pollution. And because of this indoor air pollution, we found that there were more than 9,000 premature deaths. And while going to collect the wood in the forest, women were facing several kind of violence, and there were gender inequality, and the girls' enrollment rate in the schools were also low because they had to spend a lot of time just for collecting the firewoods. So, and it also causes the deforestation. So by knowing those problems, we decided to provide the efficient solution for them so that the communities could improve a lot and get economic benefit while cooking, while they were improving their cooking technologies. So we designed a highly efficient stove, and we also found that they were using the technology that were homemade, like 3-stone. I'm not sure many of the participants are known or not about this kind of stove. So in the picture you can see, the small girl is just in front of the pile of the firewood. So those were collected from the jungle, and while they use the improved cookie stove, they could reduce the consumption of firewood more than 50%. And to support them, we thought to implement this project under the Clean Development Mechanism, or under the Paris Agreement ITMOS project. So we designed this project by considering the financial viability. So we work with them, and what we found, we did the survey in several rural villages, and we distributed more than 350 improved cookie stock to them. And after 6 months, we went there to get their opinion or the feedback, and we found that they were very happy. And we also made the mathematical calculation about the emission reduction, and we found one stove could reduce about 2.5 to 5 ton of greenhouse gas emission annually. So if we distribute 1 million cookie stop, then we can reduce 3 million of greenhouse gas emission each year, and it also improve the condition of the woman, and education enrollment in the schools also increase, and there were other benefits, so which we have provided in this slide. And the most important thing we found here is the women who were engaged, who were almost all they were engaging on cooking. While we distributed this kind of stove, we found like the men in the home also were interested to participate in the cooking, because this is very easy to use, and so they were quite interested on the new technology. And here I have just summarized some project status here. I also mentioned this in my earlier slide. So we develop the partners with the local community, with the government. Like we have 3 different kind of government structures here: federal government, provincial government, and local government. So we are working all those governments, and we also, like I mentioned, we also distributed the samples, and we have already completed the writing of a clean development mechanism project design document, and we also already submitted it to the UNFCCC, and this is under the validation process now. And we are also organizing frequent capacity building training programs, so that people will know much about the clean cooking technology. And we are also, at the same time, while we are distributing the biomass improved cookie stove, we thought it is more important to distribute the electric stove also to them, because from next year we will have surplus electricity in our national grid, and we are importing more than 45 equivalent to more than 45 billion rupees LPG gas from other countries. And as I already told, about 4 million people, 4 million households are using the very traditional way of cooking. So if we distribute the electric cookie stove, then it will give them various kind of benefit, like it will fully, it will totally reduce the greenhouse gas emission from the cooking sector, because our national grid emission factor is 0. So we can, consider this, and at the same time we can distribute it not only in the rural area, which have the access to the electricity, but also in the urban and suburb area. And there were some challenges like we found, and many rural people are not yet well aware about the benefit of the clean cooking solution. Although we went those houses, and they were facing different kind of respiratory disease, but we found they were quite unaware about this. So these are the benefit and the opportunity for us to work to improve their health. So just to summarize on this, so we have a team to work on this project. So main partner is our Ganesha Cookie Stove. The founder is Brice Hoskin, and with other people in the picture are also engaging in this project. So this is the end of my presentation. So if you have any question, please feel free to ask me, and we are always willing to work with all the development partners, private sectors, government. So your feedbacks will be highly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dharma. We have the poll again. Well, it's again similar to the other polls. It seems like people would like to know more about our cook stove solutions. We have a lot of specific questions coming in as well for our from our participants for our solution providers. We will not be able to take all those specific questions that are related to your projects because we're running out of time. But what we will do is that if you all can switch on your cameras, we have some generic questions that we would like to ask. So first question is for Brad and Josie, and you can kind of have a quick go at it. How do you view the role of technology and data in enabling and driving effective climate mitigation efforts? So fairly quickly, if you guys can put in. Hello? Hi. Josie, why don't you go first?
Sure, thank you. Yes, definitely. I think you can sort of liken it to how important data is when it comes to tracking our finances. And really, if you look at the difference between data available to track our finances and data available to track sustainability, it's really, really vast. So I would say, yeah, it's really important in helping us to understand and know where we are, and then analyze what we need to do.
Great. Brad, quick word from you too.
Sure. One way would be through artificial intelligence that we're seeing within satellites and remote sensing that are drastically driving down the cost for monitoring for deforestation rates, but then also tracking the health of ecosystems. So that's one profound way that technology is going to have a massive impact on greenhouse gas mitigation.
Okay, so the next question is, what in your experience is the paramount for successful uptake of alternate energy generation solutions? And in what context do they kind of fail? This could be for James and Dharma. Dharma, you can go first. Sorry, James.
Oh, hi, that's a very good question. I mean, we've seen the uptake in Myanmar. They want to kind of drive forward to accept renewable energy solutions, and I think we're at the the stepping stone of trying to go into that kind of scenario at the moment. We see a welcome from society in Myanmar, welcoming our ideas and technology. We are in the kind of a scenario where it's a kind of a mini hydro system, and we want to kind of inform people in the communities that we're not a big hydro dam scheme, which obviously has kind of a lot of disadvantages to local communities and gives a bit of a bad press to developers like DW Offshore. But on generally, the people and society are very welcoming to our technology and systems moving forward.
Dharma?
Actually, we found many people are quite interested in our technology, but the problem was a funding gap because they didn't have many people in the rural area are quite poor and they were unable to buy the technology. So we work with the government agencies, so they provided some subsidy in the initial stage, but they cannot support all the time. So we need to find the alternative way of funding. And here the major problem in the renewable technology is they are quite, as I already mentioned, quite expensive here, technology, and the lack of knowledge. Although they can, integrate some very minor, technical issue, and they can, improve the efficiency, but they are not quite aware of this, and this is why we are working with the government to support for technology dissemination and capacity building, and also to provide the access to the renewable energy to rural areas. So this is how we are working.
Okay, thank you so much, Dharma. Brian, I have a last question for you. We don't have too much time, but for you particularly, the solution that you have is very unique. There are not too many people in the market who have actually done this. What are some of the opportunities in this solution, and what are the challenges that you are facing?
Okay. The opportunity, I think, is the fact that sea urchin is a very premium seafood, and therefore we have relatively higher margins that we can reinvest back into the restoration effort. I think the challenge is regulatory. We are a wild catch and aquaculture venture hybrid. And often than not, the reason why everyone wants us to move ahead but can't is because of some regulatory reason that just needs a lot of explaining. So it's a lot of our work is explaining to regulatory authorities what we do and how we do it and why. And usually they're on board, but we just got to navigate their laws.
Okay. Thank you so much. As you can see, we've run out of time, and I think the questions are there, but they're very specific to your projects, and we will be able to make those connections. So the idea of DealShare platform is that you get to kind of present your solutions, and then we are able to kind of connect you with the individuals that would like to know more about your solutions, which is half the battle won, I guess. With this, we have come to the end of our session. I'd like to thank all the panelists who came here, and to all the participants and attendees. Thank you everyone for participating in our DealShare live session. This session was made possible with the kind support of our lead partners, Chandler Foundation, Stockholm Environment Institute, Yidan, Price Foundation, and our knowledge partner, Wokan. A special thanks to our impact partner, Brace. Moving forward, we shall connect you with the social entrepreneurs based on your answers from the poll results. You may download the full deck through the download pod. You can see on the screen. Just select the particular organization and click download file. Alternatively, you can send us an email at dealshare@avpn.asia. In case you have any further questions, we will be able to answer them for you and make the connections. You can also see these deals on our DealShare platform. So please go ahead to the Climate Action platform, and under that you will be able to see all the climate deals. You can see that those of you who have logged into the session into the main page, so you can go continue chatting through our AVPN connector. Do share your highlights of this session on social media, and remember to tag us using the hashtag AVPN2020.